guest is Mitchell Baker, CEO and Chief Lizard Wrangler at Mozilla. Mitchell, you were instrumental in the creation of the Mozilla Foundation in 2003. Can you tell us how that came to be?
Sure. There'd been a group of people working on Mozilla for a long time with no legal organization. And in one sense that was fine because we worked well together, but there were many difficulties. And those were things like generating funds to sustain ourselves, what to do with assets, where were machines, if we wanted someone to help, put a machine in a colo who actually owned it. It was just rather awkward. And at sometime in 2003, AOL apparently decided to stop investing in the browser. And AOL had ended up as the owner of many of the assets, including the name Mozilla, as well as the machines we were using and a range of other things, plus still employed some very critical people to the project. And so we worked with AOL, and Mitch Kapor of Lotus Notes fame, who had his Open Source Applications Foundation, joined us. And together we formed an arrangement with AOL where they spun out the assets to a nonprofit, and the obvious people to be involved in the nonprofit were the people who'd been working on Mozilla forever. And so that was partly me, partly Brendan, partly you, of course, and partly a bunch of other people. When we started, there were 9 or 10 of us. So it was a long cherished dream to create a foundation, and it came out exceptionally well when AOL decided they were ready to help us.
And where did the initial funding for this new organization come from?
A bunch of it came from AOL. AOL gave us $2 million over a 2-year period, so $1 million when we started and a pledge for another $1 million if we were around a year later. And then IBM and Sun each made a pledge of $150,000 for a 2-year period, and Mitch Kapor did the same. So when we started, we had about $1.3 million for 2 years, which is a significant amount of money for an open source project. But we figured we needed about 10 people as an absolute minimum to keep something the size of Mozilla functioning and relevant. And for 10 people, that's not a lot here in the Valley. So it was a little precarious in the early days, and most of us came on a leap of faith that we would make something worthwhile happen.
So as you all know, we're taking questions from instant message, IRC, and email. And the first question actually segues from this nicely. The question comes from Paul by email. How much has Mozilla changed or grown since the foundation started in 2003?
Oh, enormously. When we started, the project we were shipping was the Mozilla Application Suite. What we now call Firefox was maybe 0.5, wasn't called Firefox at the time. We did not have enormous market share. We had goodwill and some mind share among the developer community, but we're not known at all. We're a kind of oddball group of people off building this thing called a browser that everyone knew was dead and was just really part of an operating system, and why would you think about it? So there were 9 or 10 of us as employees, plus probably several hundred, maybe a couple thousand people active worldwide. Because the Mozilla project's been a successful open source project, I don't know, since 1999 or 2000, something people forget. So probably maybe 1,000, 1,500 people, I'm guessing, worldwide, pretty actively involved, but 9 or 10 employees. And, no Firefox as we knew it. So we had 1 developer for Firefox, 1 developer for Thunderbird, 1 person doing layout, 1 person doing back-end work other than layout, 1 person doing tools, 1 person doing QA, Brendan, and just 2 or 3 other people. So it was very lean in those days and very much an act of faith. So I think the basic values and goals and what we do and why we do them are unchanged, but the scope and scale of the people involved and what we're able to accomplish is dramatically different.
The next question, coming from AIM, is if a typical corporate model is based on an obligation and accountability to shareholders, how would you compare the Mozilla Corporation, who doesn't have shareholders?
We do have 1 shareholder. Legally, the Mozilla Foundation is our shareholder, and so we are utterly responsible to the Mozilla Foundation as a nonprofit and to the Mozilla Foundation's mission as a nonprofit to improve online life. So that's one answer, that's the legal answer. But the other answer is that Mozilla Corporation, Mozilla Foundation, Mozilla before we had an organization is all responsible to the community of people who build Mozilla. So the legal answer is we have a shareholder, and that shareholder is public benefit. But the practical day-to-day answer is that we live and die as a community. And the Mozilla Corporation is a technique for making certain things easier, but if people don't want to participate in the Mozilla community and don't participate, then we won't ship Firefox, and we won't manage to put product in front of people, and we won't be able to make a change. So the real driver of accountability is the set of people who are involved.